Hey, Wafa here. I'm so excited because today I'll be interviewing Shez. He's a managing director at KPMG Canada in the corporate finance department. I cannot wait for you to watch this video because his career story is super inspiring. He has managed to work 30 years in the finance field. He's the true definition of longevity in a corporate career in finance, and I want you to hear it. He'll talk about how passion is really the key component for building a sustainable and long and fulfilling career in his field. He'll talk about other secret ingredients that really kept him in the run for so many years and made him successful along the way. You'll also see him highlight the importance of rest and balancing out different areas of your life while staying very driven and committed to your career. Enjoy! Hi everyone, this is Wafa here. I'm back with another career interview. I'm really excited today because I'm privileged to be able to be with Shez. He is a great and super nice managing director at KPMG Corporate Finance in Canada. Hi, Shez.
Hi, Wafa. Hello to you. Thank you again for having me on.
You've had a very long career in finance. There's so much we can learn from this. So let's start by introducing yourself.
Yeah, no, thank you. So yes, so I have been what I would call a career investment banker. I've been doing this for about 30 years now. So just some brief background. I got my undergrad degree in electrical engineering, worked for a while for a large tech company before I went back to grad school, got an MBA in finance, and then started right in banking and have been in that field since at a few different firms, but I have been at KPMG now for the last little over 11 years. Spent most of my career, almost all of my career in the US. I recently moved up to Canada to help run the practice in Toronto.
I'm impressed. I mean, the KPI right there is 20 years of career and over 10 years now at your current workplace. Let's be blunt right here. What are the secrets to your longevity in such a high pressure environment such as finance?
If you truly enjoy it, and have a passion for something, it's going to be something that stays with you. Now, even with that, I have reinvented myself a few times, taken on different roles at different types of firms and different type of markets, because through these years, the markets have changed, dramatically. We had a dot-com crash. We had the recession in 2009. And, we have some potential challenges coming our way down the road here. But so you have to constantly be looking at what you're doing and how you have to potentially reinvent yourself, even within the same industry. But I think the key to as it relates to your question, the key to the longevity is you just have to find something that the area that you love to be in, and that's what keeps you going. And you find that in a variety of different career paths. Some people tend to cut it short just because a lot of times in some aspects of the industry, people can get tremendous amount of compensation. So they may just cut their careers shorter. But you find in general, the passionate bankers tend to stay in it for a while.
Now, obviously, this is such an interesting topic for me because, as you know, I was a banker myself. Obviously, I don't have your longevity for me. I quickly understood that it was not my passion. My passion, I thought first, was to understand companies from the inside through numbers like you do. But I soon enough quickly understood that my passion is to understand companies from the inside through humans.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So hence self-development, hence coaching. When I made my transition and when I opened my coaching practice where I work with busy professionals and I help them, level up their career and their health, their work-life balance and their lifestyle, what really, really was very clear to me was that, yes, finance was not for me, or the corporate world, then the way I experienced it was not for me, but it is the ideal job for many, many smart people out there. And so we need to figure out a way to help them thrive in their environment, right? Whether they're experiencing burnout, whether they just feel like they're not in the right position yet, so help them transition careers, or they're not in the right company or whatever. So I definitely acknowledged from the get-go that there are some professionals out there that are absolutely passionate about what they're doing, and we need them to stay there. We need them to find the right company, the right environment for them to thrive in. So now tell me, define passion, what it means to you to be passionate about your work.
You discovered, hey, you have this interest in the people element, the coaching element. By the way, that's just as critical in being successful in what we do. Depending on the area you work in, it's never just about the numbers. It's always about the people. It's about the relationships. We are in a service business. Our assets walk out the door every day. Without our people, we have nothing. We're not making anything unless you can build a culture of the right type of people that are trying to do the right type of things. We have nothing. So it's very important for what we do in terms of some of the things that you're thinking about. In answer to your question, define passion. Let me address it a couple different ways. When I was, studied electrical engineering, I discovered I didn't have a passion for it. And how I came to that conclusion is I did very well in engineering school, great grades and things like that. But wasn't what I was doing on the side had nothing to do with engineering. I wasn't reading magazines about technology. I didn't have any desire. I didn't have what you would call intellectual curiosity. I was doing my work. I didn't have that intellectual curiosity to take those things to the next level. I was very fortunate that when I started working, then in the tech field, I started working in marketing, and that helped me discover where I had the intellectual curiosity for. I wanted to see what impacted companies, how decisions were made, how I can make a higher level influence on a company. It was really through grad school that I discovered the field of investment banking, and it's always being in the right place in the right time. I was lucky enough to have some great professors, great mentors who were in the industry, and it was pretty clear for me back then that this is what I wanted to do. You had to pick the finance industry is enormous, right? You can pick many different areas in there, and investment banking industry is very big. You can pick different aspects of the investment banking industry, and then there's different type of investment banking firms. So I tried to navigate through that to say, okay, what did I really want to do? And that was to really be a middle market type of banker, where I could have enough of an impact on a company versus working for very large clients, which my role and my impact would be less.
This is really interesting to hear that you took the time early on as you were a software engineer to acknowledge that this was not for you, and to then seek ways to sort of transition at your own pace, at your own time. I hear that you've applied for an MBA and that was an answer for you. What other resources did you find along the way to sort of help you pave the way to finally connecting with that passion?
Back then, we didn't have the benefit of all the resources that everybody has today online. So today you can do tremendous amount of research online with blogs, so you can find anything you need to know. So then was really limited to talking to people, meeting with different people, understanding kind of what they were doing, what drove them, and that forms your own opinion. So nobody's answer on what they have gone through do I believe that anybody should try to replicate. You take pieces of everything and you figure out what's the right thing for you. And that's even whether you're starting your career or whether you're moving. When you start in this industry, one of the things that I learned is there were a lot of people as I started this industry, senior people that I respected. I also appreciated that I wasn't kind of going to try to duplicate any one of them individually, but there was pieces of every one of them that I really admired that I thought could be part of me. And you take all that together and then you become your own person, right? You never try to replicate someone else. You just try to figure out what aspects of what they do make sense for you. So answer your question, it was talking to a lot of people and discovering, okay, this is something that I'm going to be really interested in. And obviously that's always tested all along the way as you continue to grow. Is this the right thing? How do you morph in your career to make sure it continues to be the right thing? Because what drives you when you're 25 years old coming out of business school is going to evolve and change over the next 5, 10, 30 years.
Passion is this big word that we hear everywhere, but it's like happiness. People think that they will find passion like this in one day, and it's not, right? It's something that fluctuates. It's a flow, right? You go with the flow and you feel it, and then you actualize every day. And so I wonder here, okay, so you were an engineer, you were figuring out what's next for you. How did you find what was your own definition of passion? Because you said earlier in this interview that you were not spending your time reading magazines about software engineering and stuff. So that was the first level of awareness. So were you spending your time reading pitch decks about finance? Were you how?
No, yeah, you're no, because I didn't know anything about finance then, right? So it wasn't really until I went to business school. I just knew I needed to find something that I was passionate about. And that's why I went to business school, that I felt like that was going to give me the opportunity to hopefully discover that. Now, I didn't know for sure if I would, but my vision that I had going into business school and what I thought I may do after that was different when I started than once I started to get exposed to people. It was really the, people, professors, and classes a little bit. If you put yourself in a position to be exposed to people and to network, then you start understanding. And then I started getting a feel for, okay, where's my intellectual curiosity? It's not like what was I going to be doing day to day, helping companies emerge, grow. That was something that I thought was going to really interest me. And what was the path to do that? There's a lot of different paths to do that. You can go work for a company and help grow and navigate that company. You can be an entrepreneur. I realized, not then, but I realized later on, I was never going to be a good entrepreneur. There's a skill set that people who start companies and develop companies, pretty unique. That's not my skill set. I know how to make companies better. I don't have the characteristics of someone who's going to be a great entrepreneur. These little pieces of things that come about that help you figure out where's your intellectual curiosity? What do you enjoy? Just no different than if you're a sports fan or a fan of anything else in your life that you can be passionate about, how much time you read about it, or whether it's music. It's things that people are passionate about. And you want your career to be that same way, that you genuinely enjoy learning about it and continuing to grow and invest in yourself. Because if you're not always growing, and so back to your previous question, what's the key to longevity in this industry? One is passion, but you also have to be continuing to grow and seeking knowledge. Because the day you stop learning, you have to come to the realization that you shouldn't be doing it anymore.
That makes perfect sense. So for everyone that's watching, Shez just shared number one key component of the healthy foundation to his success and longevity in finance and in the corporate world at large is passion. Now, he found his own definition of passion. And then how he got there. He got there because he asked himself questions. Where is my intellectual curiosity towards? Why am I interested in? What do I like to read? What do I like to consume in terms of content? And then don't just dwell there. Seek opportunities to test those theories out. So go and do internships, apply for an MBA, do some part-time, do some free time, pro bono somewhere. Seek experiences that will help you prove or not whether one particular field or niche is your passion, and test it out. And then once you have proof that you like something, you have an inkling, listen to your intuition. It will also guide you. Then pursue that and get better at it. And now this is where my next question is coming. Obviously, the field of finance is tough, right? There's a lot of competition. It's a fast-paced world, lots of responsibilities. You started with this passion, this hunger for knowledge and for gaining skills. Once you've encountered challenges, what helped you keep that passion? Let's not be naive here. We have this idea that passion is like love. At first, it's like butterflies in the stomach. It's not. At first, it's like that, but it's something you have to work for. So how did you work to maintain your passion as you encountered the stress, the pressure, and other challenges in your career?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, because there are a lot of challenges along the way when you come into this industry. Like anybody coming into, I guess I'll be specific to investment banking, it can be a little overwhelming. As smart as anybody is, fear of failure, the fraud syndrome, feel that so much of it is constantly proving to yourself that you can do it, right? So, and there'll be challenges along the way, and there's pressure. Stress is more self-created, but there is pressure to perform and deliver. There are deadlines. So, work ethic is a big part of this industry. You have to be smart and kind of all that, but that's kind of the starting point for everybody. Where do people differentiate along the way? It is that work ethic and drive that creates the opportunity. And that's how you deal with the challenges. You can work through challenges. Often when there's the challenges, none of it's personal. Everybody's trying to accomplish something, trying not to take things personally. I know it's easier said than done, but feedback and critique isn't meant to be personal. It's to kind of create a better outcome. Once you stop taking that personally, it's a lot easier. But there will always be challenges, whether it's what's happening. I mean, when I started out the career, it was because I had a tech background. What I did is leverage that tech background to become a tech banker. And then in 2001, there was the internet bubble that collapsed. and tech banking got killed across the industry. So how do you kind of reinvent yourself from that? So there's always challenges that you're going to face. The work ethic will help you power through. You'll constantly be testing yourself to say, hey, is this something you still are passionate about, that you still enjoy? Because then if you're not enjoying it, without the passion, you're not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to be willing to work. Once you lose that, and then you're just being forced to work really hard, then it becomes a miserable experience. And that's what drives people when they leave this industry, because they're working, crazy hours, and they realize they're just, they don't have the intellectual curiosity for this anymore. That's when they do have to leave.
It becomes very clear now that the secrets to your passion and therefore your longevity is the fact that you were able to always keep that thirst for knowledge and that intellectual curiosity as you define it. It's also clear that it is your work ethic that kicks in during challenging times. And after that, it sounds like what you often do is to self-actualize and really ask yourself, am I still interested in this? Is there still that intellectual curiosity? Does it still make sense to work as hard as I'm doing? If yes, keep going. And obviously for you, it was always yes. Tell me about how do you ask yourself those crucial questions?
Part of that passion is it's intellectual curiosity. What impact am I having on a company, on a founder? And I came to that realization a long time ago that in terms of what we do, in the aspect of what we do in banking, we're doing something that's, one of the most important transition a company is going through. For example, if they're selling a company, typically it's a founder that has created this company. It's his or hers life's work that they've created that we are now selling. And that means so much to them. That drives so much of what I enjoy, right? That impact we're having for that founder when we are selling that company. And I know I love that aspect of it. So where you're doing some self-actualizing is, how do I evolve to best continue to do that? So where I've changed investment banking platforms a couple of times, search of continuing to be able to do that the way I want to do it. It was one of the big reasons I came to KPMG 11 years ago, was to be able to really focus and continue to do that. So there's so many different aspects of, the self-actualization is all these nuanced elements of, okay, what other aspects of this end goal, which is helping companies, what all other aspects make this rewarding?
Now you've added another layer to the success factors, right, for building longevity in a corporate world, and namely in finance. We started talking about passion, intellectual curiosity. We talked about the hard work and dedication. We talked about self-actualization. And now you've just shared with us, there is also the impact component, the why. What is the bigger mission you're trying to achieve? It sounds like with all those 4 layers, you were able to pivot nimbly from one job to another, from one economy to another, and that helped you drive and shape and color and define the contour of your career. How true do you think that is?
It is, but you make it sound like I had some master plan, and I didn't. I think I'm unbelievably lucky to find myself in the right positions, the right time, but you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky. But it wasn't this master plan that I had that, I had to pivot as I went, as I go, and respond as I go. So it was, I'd like to say it was much easier. So, but no, you're correct. It's all those things together.
I was filming videos, actually. Today was my filming day. So I filmed 2 videos, one about
Already?
burnout, how to talk about your burnout experience in an interview, and one about how to leave the day at the door after work and transition and to enjoy your evening.
This will be a good offset to that, because I'll be the diametric opposite of some of those comments. So
Really? What do you mean?
as it relates to leaving your work at the door, I firmly believe if you have passion for what you do,
Yeah.
you never leave it at the door, right? You have to be, it's always either in the back of your mind or things like that. I mean, you have to be able to focus on other things, but that's how you excel. That means it's not for everyone, right? If you know how many hours a week you work, you're doing the wrong job. I know you wouldn't agree with that.
There is some truth to what you're saying in regards to, it's true, like if you want to excel, you have to be obsessed about something. So for example, I think about self-development all the time. I think about wellness all the time.
Right.
However, it is important also to have like self-consciousness and be present. So I mean, you have, I don't know about your situation, but if you're going to the gym, if you're having kids, you need at some point to be able to just be
Yes,
anchored in the present moment and rest, because otherwise you burn out, like you're depleted. So you can be passionate and obsessed at all times, but you need to know to sort of like segment moments
I
alone
agree.
to be present. So it's good that we speak about this during the interview.
I agree with you on that. You need to be able
Awesome.
to divert to, whether it's family, whether it's things, be able to focus and put appropriate attention to all those things, right? Because otherwise you'll alienate all the other aspects of your life. So
Wonderful. I'm excited for all the viewers to learn from you and build long and fulfilling corporate careers. But the reality is, people need to rest and recharge. I'm all about balance and fulfillment and alignment, which for me is another huge key behind longevity. Throwing ourselves into something until we burn out, for me, does not make sense. What matters is finding, a purpose, a passion in a role, staying in the long run so that we can become leaders like you and then inspire and train and manage the next generation like you are doing. And before we were recording this interview, I shot a video that by the time this airs out would have been published on my YouTube channel. It's how to leave the day at the door. I've had many busy professionals, whether it was professional clients or it was people on LinkedIn, ask me, I would like to see content on how to leave the day at the door, or basically mentally log off after a work day. How do I make sure that I'm fully present when it's the evening, when I'm attending to other areas of my life? What's your opinion on that?
no, it is important. And you and I chatted about this a little bit before. So let me give you a couple of perspectives. One, the firms, the organizations are trying to do a better job to allow for that. And the good leaders appreciate that people need to have their lives and you can't always be, it's sometimes this job has to be 24/7, but it doesn't have to be that way all the time. And giving people, the trust and flexibility to let them have their lives, right? Because that ultimately, when people do that, when they're balanced, they're more productive for you, right? If they're balanced and happy in their overall lives, they're going to be much better in the organization. So we as organizations continue to grow on how we accommodate that and balancing that with the needs of the clients and the team. So not creating false deadlines for folks and things like that. Back to the individual, how do you leave it at the door? I mean, it can be challenging. You have to be able to kind of effectively prioritize things. But you need a break. You need to find things that, you're equally passionate about outside of work, or find your individual escape, right? Everybody needs that kind of escape. Mine is going to the gym. That's my escape. Not talking to anybody about finance at the gym, about deals. They're, we're worried about what pound plate that needs to be on the bar, right? That's
A good icebreaker, though. It could.
yeah.
You should try.
Obviously, as people have their personal lives, their families, things like that, it's important you do have to balance that, because you can't let those things, and those things ultimately are more critical, right? They're the most important part of your life. So you have to have that balance. It's not just your whole personal setting around you has to have for it to work. Because if you don't, if your family isn't supportive of what you're trying to do, you're going to be very unhappy. There has to be a balance. You have to be able to leave things, but the nature of our industry is clients call it any hour. It can be 24/7. I'll get calls at 2 a.m. on things, right? And that is a little bit of the nature of what we do. And as you get more senior, you get more in control of it. The hard part is when you're starting out in this industry, you control very little of it. You have to speak up when you say, hey, I need a break. The good firms say, we get it. Do what you need to do. Sometimes when you're starting out in this industry, it's hard to learn when to push back. But people appreciate it if you're being honest and say, here's an issue. Generally, people are very accommodating. You have to be acknowledged when you're getting just overwhelmed, because the bad thing is if you get overwhelmed, you're not going to do well. Things are going to slip, and that's going to create more problems than just raising your hand. Whatever the situation may be, you need to put your hand up.
On top of that, I think there's another layer that needs to be reminded, and I hope I did a good job in my video, and I'll put the link above in the info card on how to leave the day at the door and the tips that I shared in it. Hopefully I did a good job at sharing how to give yourself the green lights, the approval on now I can fully be present in what I'm doing. If I'm at the gym, if I'm with my kids, if I'm on a date, if I'm, meditating, if I'm whatever you're doing, sometimes the hardest part, because let's not paint a picture of, the companies like they're always telling their employees to work nonstop. I mean, I'm sure in your team sometimes you guys work hard, but there's got to be, because of the nature of the industry, it's cyclical. So there's some weeks, some months, or some just few days where there's nothing to do or not that much to do to stay until 2 a.m. So people just leave at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. It's rare, but it does happen. But the hardest part is during those days, even people don't they don't allow themselves to rest because they're stressed out. They're in fear.
You make some great points. What's interesting about this industry, it tends to draw very driven, motivated people. Sometimes their individuals are harder on themselves than anybody else can be. And you have to be able to continue to push forward. It's okay. As you said, it's cyclical, but even within days and weeks, there's ups and downs where sometimes people feel guilty when they don't have anything to do, right? They're beating themselves up for that, but it's an opportunity to take a breath.
Well, thank you so much for all the tips that you've shared in this video. I hope your career story and trajectory will inspire all of the viewers to find and build their own healthy and fulfilling and long careers wherever, whether it's in finance or in startups or anywhere else. And to build longevity of a career, it does not have to be in the same company. You're a proof of that. You've switched and pivoted from companies for decades. What matters is how you grow and evolve. And what really transpired from me interviewing you is how passionate you are about your field. And honestly, that makes me happy because that's my intention. I talk a lot about burnout prevention, work-life balance, changing careers because I left finance, but I never want my story or my company mission statements or my message, right, brand to be about leave finance. It's about if you love what you're doing, whether it's if it's in finance, consulting, or law or whatever, stay in it. Be the best at it and thrive. Don't forget yourself in the process. But if you evolve in a company or in a work environment where they grind you to the bone, they deny you vacations, just evenings to rest, then that's an issue. Then pivot like you did. You pivoted and keep finding places where you know that you can thrive.
No, you do a very good job of navigating these discussions. I feel like I'm on a career therapist couch here.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
No, you do a great job of it, and you clearly found something you're passionate about. But I think we've covered the key areas.
Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Wafa. I appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Remember this, the key component for a long and sustainable career is to find your passion. And keep this in mind, passion is not static, it's not perfect. It always evolves and grows with you. So do not be scared or paralyzed at the idea of finding your passion. Pick something that stimulates your intellectual curiosity, like Shez suggested, follow it, pursue it, and then see how you feel and trust your gut feeling along the way. I hope this interview was useful. If you've enjoyed it and if it's inspired you to become an inspiring and thought leader like Shez, like this video, share it with someone you like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more interviews like this. See you soon. Bye.